one could make the argument that if I'm 23 or 24 years old, I'm still in college, the health care program that was passed by the Congress a few years ago is a good thing for me. It's because I can stay on my parents' health care plan for another 2, 3, 4 years, depending on how old you are. But also, too, I'm guaranteed health care moving forward. Is this a good thing for young people? And is this a bad thing for our overall system?
Wildly popular for young people. I mean, 2.5 million young people are now on their parents' insurance plans because of the Affordable Care Act. Obviously, when 50% of the bankruptcies in this country were from health care bills, and young people who are very healthy by and large, at a younger stage in their life, don't often anticipate freak accidents or a sports injury or any kind of pain coming into their life that would necessitate an X-ray or an MRI or very expensive medical costs. Now we have obviously a way of hedging against those costs coming into our life in an unanticipated way. This was one of the most wildly popular provisions of that bill, and even Republicans have said, who want to repeal Obamacare, have said that they want to maintain the 26ers provision within the legislation.
I want to move on to Social Security. In our parents' generation, you put your money into the system. You knew that at the age of 62 or 65, 3 things possibly could happen. 1, I would get a Social Security check from the federal government. Secondly, I would get some type of pension from my job or organization. And thirdly, I would rely on my savings. That was the 3-legged stool, if you will, that Franklin Roosevelt proposed back in 1933, and it worked pretty well for our grandparents. One can make the argument for our parents. Most statisticians, most economists, even some young people would say that system, quite frankly, is going to go bankrupt. That system is, quite frankly, not fair to a young person today who's going to live much, much longer and who's probably going to have a much more efficient work-life balance standpoint. Social Security, do you believe that Social Security for young people needs to be revamped?
I think that young people, if you look at them, want a safety net. I think we also have to potentially look into making tough solutions around retirement age. We might have to make tough solutions about ways that we pay in less or more to the system to balance out the numbers and to make it sustainable. But I'll leave that to the policymakers and to the statisticians to figure it out, and to the actuaries and to everyone else who creates the numbers and who looks at facts, which is actually a key thing to pay attention to when we're determining our policy, not opinions. But what's most important is to clarify that young people want Social Security. If you look at polling, they want a safety net. They want to know that if they retire and if they give service to this country for 50, 60, 70 years, that in their last few years they can obviously rely on the support of the country that they've given so much to.
Last topic, I want to move on to 2012 politics. What I find so fascinating about 2012 and the Republicans, particularly Ron Paul, he is the oldest person in the race. He's still running for president of the United States. He is still someone that has said, I'm in this for the long haul. He is the oldest person running for the presidency, but he has some of the youngest supporters. And when you go to his rallies, when you see him on television and so forth, they're the most enthusiastic. Why?
Well, young people on the GOP side have liked Ron Paul because he epitomizes that candidate who's rather anti-establishment. He has unconventional views, obviously, on our debt, unconventional views on war, very anti-war, unconventional views on the war on drugs, very much pro-legalization of the war on drugs, and has viewed that as a failure, which it has disproportionately incarcerated young minorities in particular. And I think those types of views, which are not lockstep and barrel with an existing political party, are popular to a generation who's thinking more independently.
Matthew, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Barack Obama is going to be running against Mitt Romney in the fall. Who do you think squares up most for young people? In other words, my question is who speaks for young people? Or is there anyone, quite frankly, that does that on the Republican or Democratic side?
I mean, that's going to have to obviously, first and foremost, come up to the decision of the individual voter. But obviously, polling does show that young people are more supportive of Barack Obama. Many of his policies have been popular. The one thing that my organization is pressuring both presidential candidates to do is to create a national massive expansion of AmeriCorps and national service positions so that we can create 1 million new jobs so that every young person who wants to serve their country can have the opportunity to do so in all of these needed areas where there's a shortage, like nursing, like teaching, like disaster relief, like advanced manufacturing and retrofitting, and we can go on and on and on. Ironically, with such large unemployment, there is so much that needs to get done, and we haven't matched workers to those needs. And there needs to be a major jobs program from either candidate, and it's an investment that's going to pay itself back many times over again, because look at the money we're spending on prison. Look at the money we're spending on food stamps. Look at the money we're spending on all these social welfare programs to take care of young people and all citizens, because we haven't utilized their capacity. And we need something ambitious and bold to push for, and we're getting 1 million signatures on behalf of this National Youth Corps.
Matthew, my last question for you is, as I said a few moments ago, 2008 was a banner year for young people coming out to vote. Do you think that's going to be replicated in 2012?
I think it's going to be a tougher year. There's, like you said, some expectations that need to be managed this time around. And a lot of people did project their wildest hopes and ambitions onto the president. But I do think if we do a good job and if the candidates invest the time and energy to talk to young voters, there will be a return on investment.
Matthew Segal, founder of Our Time, thank you for joining us for Comcast Newsmakers on the Vote.
My pleasure,
Really appreciate it. And of course, thank you for joining us for this edition of Comcast Newsmakers on the Vote. I'm Robert Trainum. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.